here we have our sleeve right side up. We've got our slash, and we can open that out like so, and we're going to treat that like it's a straight line. Then we're going to take our binding, also right side up, so that's the wrong side, right side, and we're going to be putting those two together like so. So the right side of the binding is being sewn to the wrong side of the sleeve. So the beginning is easy. We're just going to put those two together up there. We're going to sew that with a 6mm seam. And these are going to match, but what's happening here is we need this to spread open, and we need to let that just be caught by a few threads. So use the binding as the guideline for your seam. And then when you get to the middle, you're going to let that spread open and just catch a few threads. So I'm stitching at 6mm, I'm letting that spread, I'm just catching a few threads there, and I'm just sewing that narrow seam, letting it taper. Right, and so there you can see that you've got just that last little bit there. Okay, so we've got our seam allowance pressed away from the sleeve towards the binding. So that's the first pressing we're going to do after that. And then we're going to do a little bit more pressing. So we're going to press in the outer edge of the binding by 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch. And then our last step will actually be folding this one more time over the top of our original stitching. So your fold line is going to go just past that original line of stitching and cover that up. And then we're going to edge stitch that down. Right, so our last step is going to be folding this. It's going to go over that stitch line, and we're going to just, this is going to be visible, so we're going to do it nice and neatly and just catch next to that fold. And then when it comes to this, this is the trickiest part. You don't want to catch any pleats, but you'll be fine if you just let it spread open. Fold that over the edge. Alright, and there you have it, your binding. So that's what it looks like from the right side. From the wrong side, it doesn't matter if you go a little bit off the edge. The main thing is it looks good from this side, the public side, if you will. And our next step is actually going to be turning this to the inside. So we want this little area to be tucked away on the inside. So I'll show you that next. Okay, so now that we've stitched our binding, we've got our right side with our neat line of stitching, we've got our wrong side, and we're going to fold it right sides together and let this form a nice straight line. So you'll have a little L shape there. You're going to line up both sides of your binding so they're sitting on top of each other, and this can sit perfectly straight and square the way it wants to. And then we're just going to do a little diagonal tack across here, and that's going to keep it sitting nicely. Okay, so here we are ready to do our diagonal tack. So I'm starting at the stitch line, and I'm making sure not to catch any of this body of the garment in, and making sure my bindings are sitting on top of each other neatly. And I'm just going to do a little back tack and a little diagonal line, and that is just going to help these layers sit to the inside of the garment. So it's okay if you don't go right to the edge, it's better to not catch a pleat there. And next we'll tack one of these layers back. Okay, so imagine this is your sleeve. This is going to be around the front of your arm, and we have the vent towards the back of the arm. So we want to fold this one backwards because that's the one that's going to sit on top when we close it up. And since we want this one to be on top, we want our binding to fold backwards on this one and sit flat on this one, so they can end up like that. So I'm just going to fold that back, and I don't need to press it or anything, I can just fold it. And then I am just going to do a little line of tacking, and that means I won't forget which one goes backwards when I put that cuff on, and I can give it a good press and make sure everything's sitting nice and flat, and there I have a beautiful bound placket.